Hello everyone, greetings to all watching the video. I welcome you all to another episode of Convo with Apricus. Friends, our topic of discussion today is Glacial Ecosystem under changing climate with special reference to the Himalayas. And to throw light on this topic, we have Professor Rajesh Kumar with us. Professor Rajesh is head of the department in the Department of Environmental Science and Dean in the School of Earth Sciences, Central University of Rajasthan in Ajmer, Rajasthan, India. He has more than 22 years of experience in teaching and research. He has also published various articles and research papers in reputed journals and magazines. He is also the editor-in-chief of International Journal of Environment and Disaster Studies. Welcome, sir. Welcome to Convo with Apricus. We shall start the discussion now. Sir, please explain the audience about the glacial ecosystem.
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to talk with you on these issues. So when we talk about the glacier, the first thing comes in my mind is what is glacier? So glacier is basically defined as the frozen river of ice. And why this is a term river is coming, because this glacier also has some dynamics. If it is no dynamics, no movement, then it is called as a dead ice. That you have ice blocks in refrigeration system but that is not called a glacier. This has its own movement, and movement is because of the more and more accumulation of the masses of snow that converts into the glacial ice because of its increasing pressure and squeezing out all the air bubbles in between. So it converts into the stage of firm, and from the firm it increases with the further density of it, and it becomes equivalent to the ice. And since normally these are under the slope of high to low, some of the valleys, or extra mass that is getting accumulated to the accumulation zone that forces it to move downward. So under the gravity, this is forced to move downward, and this dynamics is making this glacier, this ice as a glacier. So this dynamics is very important. If we take apart from this, what is happening in the glacier environment is that this is almost inhospitable atmosphere, a biotic environment, because of the extreme conditions such as the low temperature and high ultraviolet radiation and limited nutrients availabilities over there. So in the glacial environment, still you will find there are some of the bacteria and viruses that are surviving in this ecosystem. So various organisms like the photosynthetic microorganisms, snow algae, and cyanobacteria are also growing over there on the surface of the glaciers and sustain their heterophic life and organic materials on the survival. So these organisms are like the insects, some are the ice bombs, some are the rotifiers, fungi, and some other kind of the bacteria. So these organisms are almost cold tolerant. That's why they are surviving over there, and they're very special species that adapt their lives to such a low temperature condition on the glaciers. So the glacier and ice sheet are the Earth's largest freshwater is another important aspect of it, because it gives freshwater reserve if you will take care. So out of the 3% of your freshwater availabilities, this 2% is locked in the different part of the globe in form of the frozen water. So thus we can consider glacier as one of the ecosystem that contains the biological communities, the ice mass. Then some studies of the subglacial studies also gives an idea of existence of some of the bacteria that survives on the organic carbon trapped over there, and this converts that into the methane. So methane, one of the very sensitive greenhouse gas. So melting of these ice is another concern, that more and more release of the greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. So more and more warming could be one of the important dangerous aspects that the people are concerned about it. So some of the research even says that the moss is another variety that can survive even for the century. So whenever the glacial retreat are taking place, there you will find these mosses are first appearing, and this starts colonizing with this on the rock, and slowly this gives rise to the formation of the different types of the vegetation. So these kind of the things, when the glacier valley is getting vacated, we are finding how vegetation is moving to the upward location. So these are a kind of the glacial ecosystem, very low temperature, no vegetation on the location. And if you take in the Indian Himalayas cases, these all the glaciers are starting about the 4,000 meters of altitude and above. And when the tree line goes off by 3,500, 3,600 meters of the altitude, so only shrubs to the lower altitudes of the glacial system you will find, and to the top you are not finding any vegetation over there.
Thank you, sir. Sir, what are the reasons behind the climate change in the Himalayas?
Very well said question, because the climate change is a very burning issue. Everybody is concerned about this. So if you will take an example of climate change, what is happening to the land areas before going to the Himalayas high altitude location, the one and only important aspect is coming is the anthropogenic impact, because this the greenhouse gases that were at the beginning of this earth, origin of the earth, these were all to a level of maintaining the earth's hostile temperature. That's why we have the creature on this earth. But with the increase of the anthropogenic impact in terms of our lifestyle, in terms of our demand, in terms of our technology, so major concern is coming after the industrialization era. So after 50s, if you start thinking in the industrial era starts over there, and that has picked up by 1970, and now it's all going with the high pace. So all these industrialization and the changed lifestyle is forcing to more and more utilization of the vehicles, more consumption of the energy. That mostly energy is being produced by the thermal power plants, where you have to burn the fossil fuel, basically the coal and the gases over there. So these fuels are emitting lots of pollutants to our atmosphere, and many of them are the greenhouse gases. And this greenhouse gases is the major concern of changing temperature to the atmosphere, because this allows only short wave radiation to pass on, and that goes on the Earth's surfaces. After absorption of this radiation by the Earth's surfaces, this has to re-emitted back to the space. And while re-emitted back, this changes its nature into the long wave radiation, and those long wave radiation cannot pass by these greenhouse gases. This behaves in dual nature. For the long wave radiation, it is opaque, and for the short wave radiation, it is transparent. So by this, all these energies are getting accumulated over there. If we take the analysis that has been given by the NASA, that the energy trapped is about 500,000 of energy equivalent to the Hiroshima atomic bomb explosion, and on a daily basis to this earth. So this is one of the reasons of increasing temperature. If we take in the last century, 1 degree Celsius of temperature has already risen, and we are moving in the same pace. It is expected that the temperature may rise by 5 degrees Celsius by the end of the centuries, and in worst case scenario, it may go more than that if you take the RCP at 0.5 scenarios. Another concern comes is the land use, land cover changes. So this aspect, if you are coming now to the basically to the Himalayas, even more tourism, migration of people towards the hill stations, and the different kind of the constructions, that the concrete building construction has changed the entire land use pattern to this Himalayan region. And more people interaction over there, more vehicular emissions are coming, because the roads has been built to the high altitudes of the Himalayan belts that were not earlier to the pre-industrial era. So this increase of the transportation activities to the location, more and more greenhouse gas emissions to the location, and land cover patterns are changing. So all these are one of the major aspects of increasing temperature to the Himalayan region also. This further impacts the energy balance system to the location. So in the energy balance system, if you take the warming that has started by 1950, when the glacier are melting little more, so with the more melt of this glacier, the area vacated is now having the barren land. So the snow cover and ice cover is not over there. So albedo of the region reduces. So when albedo of the region reduces, more and more absorption of the energy is going to take place. So more absorption of energy is going to enhance again into the global warming component. And when it is enhancing more, again, it will enforce the melting of the snow and ice cover to the region. So this has a very positive mechanism of feedback, one supporting to the other and having a lots of impact. Does it make sense? Or should I further elaborate on this?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for explaining in such a lucid manner. Sir, how will the changing Himalayas influence the climate of India? Will it have any effect on the climate of Indian subcontinent also?
Very well said question, because really this will have, as we know from very early reason, why do we have the monsoon in India? This monsoon is because of the Himalayas. So changes in Himalayas is going to affect a lot. The winter would have been very more severe when the Himalayas would not have been there. So apart from this, it will take the consideration that all this monsoon rainfall coming to the lower altitudes of the Himalayas, and the higher altitudes are having the snowfall over there, and this snowfall is important for formation of the glaciers. So this region, after the glaciers and snow melt, is the storehouse of the freshwater reserve over there, and this has also been called as the third pole on the globe because of its vast reserve of the frozen water and snow and ice. This gives rise to the formations of several rivers system over there, and with this river system, the downstream communities are also surviving for their livelihood, for their irrigation need, for their drinking water need, or for their industrial need. So this is helping for the irrigation. Many aspects it is helping to the downstream communities. But even to the Himalayan region, the impact is very high, and this has a lots of influence to this. So the climate is really getting affected with this. As I said, the land cover in the Himalayas is also going to supplement the global warming component. So this will have impact to the downstream. And if more and more melting are taking place of the water over there, this has another important aspects of the flooding to the downstream, and the latter stage when less snow and ice cover would be available over there will have the scarce water availability to the perennial river system that we have, the Ganges, Brahmaputra, Jamuna in the Indian part of the Himalayas.
Thank you, sir. Sir, what are the possible impacts of changing climate on the structure and functions of these ecosystems?
Okay, the ecology is really very sensitive in the mountain region, and especially in the Himalayan, if you say. So these any natural or anthropogenic impacts to the Himalayan region or any parts of the world is going to have this impact to the entire globe. So that's why it is a global concern, and the warming that we are talking always is a global warming. Though to the some location it is higher changes, some location it is lower changes, but impact is to the entire domain. So the Himalayan ecosystem resources are really critical on the face of the natural disturbances, anthropogenic activities, and to the aspects of the changing climate. It has important implications for the management strategies and the policies for the Himalayan region, to the downstream population. And the impact could be observed in terms of the variability of the volumetric flow of the water in the river system, loss of the biodiversities, because this gives about 8,000 of the biodiversities houses in the Himalayan belt. Then unsustainable kind of the ecology would be there. Then the glacier recession, deforestation, because this huge forest reserve is another component of the carbon sequestration coming from this forest cover of the Indian Himalayas. Then increasing natural disasters that we have faced several disasters in recent time in the Uttarakhand that we have encountered. Many cloudburst conditions are happening. So all these are a kind of the vulnerable situations coming into this region. So the Indian Himalayan region, that is a storehouse of about 8,000 species of the plant, and about 50% are the flowering plants over there. 30% are some you can say the medicinal value plants are over there. Then some other tree species, edible oil species, so different kinds of species are there into this 8,000. So this acts as a sink for the carbon because of this large forest reserve over there. So this is a major support to the ecosystem by this greenery in the Himalayan region.
Thank you, sir. Sir, please throw light on the human pressures in the natural ecosystems of Western Himalayas.
Human pressure. Human pressure is a component that is taking place to the entire globe, that we have come across the rise in or increase in the population. What happens with this human pressure? Humans are looking for more and more opportunity, and for that they have a tendency of migration. So with this migrating tendency, when temperature is rising, the pressure goes into the looking forward for the location where you have the lower temperature, moving towards the hill station, and this people from the lower foothills are moving to the further high altitudes. So these are one kind of the human pressure reaching to those locations. Second goes into the economy that is increasing, and the better economy that people are having. So this increases more and more tourism. And for more and more tourism, people are moving towards the location where they are not used to, and in search of very comfort location for their vacation. So this goes into that domain. Then apart from this increased population to those locations, the natural resources exploitation is also increasing. In that sense, the human pressure is going to the manifold. The reserve of the water that we have over there, so lots of the hydropower projects are coming into this Himalayan region on this perennial river system. And for making these hydropower projects, we are pressurizing the entire ecosystem, because by creating the huge water reserve dam over there, if you can take an example of the Terry Dam. So with this Terry Dam, huge water bodies that is now accumulated has submerged and taken care all this forest cover into this water, and that the pressure is on the mountain system, making the system very vulnerable to their locations. Even this is a kind of further threat that this may trigger to the earthquake incidences. So lots of this human need that is forcing us to depend more and more to the natural resources, and that is available to the Himalayan region, is a kind of human pressure for their need we are creating over there. That makes a major concern, that, and the all impact is seen over there in terms of the decreasing volume of ice, reducing the area of the snow cover, and forcing less water to the higher altitude during the summer region. There were some houses on the slope of the mountain, and those villages are getting water with the snow melt channels, but these changes has made less snowfall, as well as increased temperature is making fast melting of the snow. So the snow cover that used to support the water system to the entire period of ovulation, that's the summer season, is now getting dried because of the major part of the snow is melting in the early season. So by May and June and thereafter, there won't be any snow available. And this pushes reverse migration of those people from the mountain system to the downstream for their livelihood, and they cannot grow their crop over there, they cannot have their farming, they cannot have survival for the water over there. So this is another reverse down migration of those communities that were sustaining over there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. You took time from your busy schedule and came here to participate and explain the topic in such a lucid manner. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.